Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to break down a $10 million sales script. Quite literally, we've used this for enterprise software sales, a coaching business, and also a marketing agency. And every single time, this script absolutely crushes it. In fact, my team right now, who I have a bunch of 20-year-olds that have really never done sales before, I taught them everything I know. They use this script, and they're closing 55% of our sales at our software company right now. And the average sale price is $8,000. So yeah, it works pretty well. We've done millions of dollars with this in a coaching business and then also an agency. So I'm going to break down one part of this script. It is the most important part of the script, and it's the discovery process. Okay. So as you guys know, or maybe you don't, and that's why you're watching this. If your sales team is struggling or you are struggling with sales, I'm going to keep this as simple as I possibly can. And by the end of this video, guys, I promise you, if you ask just one of these questions for each of the 6 I'm going to show you, you go through a sales call, and for this first type of question, you ask one. The second type of question, you just ask one. Like, you literally could ask 6 questions and have better close rate than what you're currently having right now. And I'm going to show you that. Okay. So again, sales calls in general, and this type of sales call I'm talking about here is you're selling something for a decent ticket, right? I would say a couple $1,000s, maybe over 10, 20, $30,000, something like that. We're not selling things for $50 or $100 on a sales call. This is a high ticket product. Software, coaching, agency, services, something like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, again, the sales call itself, there's 6 parts. Okay. Part 1 is basically the introduction, right? So we have the introduction up here. This is part 1. Part 2, this is what we're going to be talking about today. This is called the discovery, the disco. Every single sale can be won or lost, not can be, is won or lost in this process. Every time I'm coaching somebody and the salesperson, the account executive goes, yeah, I mean, in the objection, what do I say to this objection? And I say, the objection never should have come up. This objection should have never come up, and it never would have come up if we did our discovery correct and asked more impact questions, right? And I'm going to show you what those are. So guys, this is the entire point. And that's what I'm going to show you here. Okay, part 3, transition. Part 4 is your pitch. Part 5 is gaining commitment. Part 6 is handling objections. We're not going to talk about that. If you guys like this video, I'll probably do other videos on the rest of the sales call and maybe an entire one through. But again, I promise you, by the end of this video, if you just listen and ask one of these 6, a situational, a symptom, a problem, a sign, an impact, and a solution question in your sales call, your conversion rate will improve, probably massively. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and dive into these. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is probing questions. Guys, this is the number one reason, and this isn't even one of the 6. This is just every single sales call, you should be asking probing questions through and through. And by the way, guys, this is a good time for me to explain. For this, I'm going to show you what the question is, the purpose of asking it, the psychology behind it. I'm going to give you examples. I'm going to give you goals and tips for every single one of these questions. Now, for the probing question, okay, it is clarifying questions used to get deeper context or emotion after a surface level answer. Okay, what does that jumbo mean? It means that people get on sales calls and they're reserved. They know they're getting on a call to a sales call, and they're intimidated. Some people are even scared. They're like, okay, I really need this product. Oh God, I got to go on a sales call. And what happens is that leads to surface level answers, right? Hey, tell me what's going on with your ads. I'm glad we were able to hop on today to talk about our ad tracking software. Yeah, the ads they're not working that great. That's it, right? It's like, okay, well, tell me more about that. Or when you say the ads are not working that great, what do you mean exactly? And then you guys see, like, this is kind of a common thing, but salespeople don't do it enough. And throughout every single call, salespeople just take a prospect and they take their answer. And half the time the salesperson's so nervous, they're like, okay, great. Yeah, that makes total sense. Something I hear all the time when I'm reviewing sales calls. People always say that. So nervous salespeople, they go, got it. Okay, cool. That makes sense. And I'm like, no, it doesn't make sense. Why are you going to say it makes sense? It doesn't make sense, right? They're so scared. They want to move on to the next question. They want to get to the pitch. It's awful. So a lot of times I'll say, okay, got it. Well, tell me more about that. Yeah, well, sales on the ads have been down for the last 3 months or so. Okay, so when you say they've been down for the last 3 months or so, like, what do you mean by that? Tell me more about that. You're just probing. You're going deeper. Okay. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but here's a couple examples. Fitness coach. When you say you want to lose weight, what's really driving that? What's driving that decision, right? Marketing agency. So, John, you mentioned your funnel is broken. Can you walk me through where people are dropping off? HR software. Now, you said hiring new people is a pain. How does that usually show up in your team's behavior, right? Whatever. Goal, go deeper, peel the onion. That is the goal with these questions. Tips. 1, don't rush to the next question. It is so bad. You can always pick apart and see an inexperienced salesperson because they have no control over what they're saying. They're so scared of what the prospect's going to say back. They don't listen. That's the number one thing. They don't listen, and they're rushing into the next question, okay? So after the prospect answers, pause. Let the silence be stretched out. Let the silence go, okay? And probe deeper. Can you tell me more about that, John? Okay. Mirror their language. Repeat a few words that they use to build trust. Show that they're listening. I've already just given you examples. When you said X, what did you mean by that? When you say Y, blah, 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 right? And use tone, not just words. Probing, like the way you ask questions on a sales, I'm sure you've heard of this. The way you say things is more important than what you're actually saying, right? So if I'm looking at, tell me more about that. Somebody comes to Commently and they're like, yeah, our ads, they're not really working anymore. And we're not sure why. I'm not going to say to them, okay, tell me more about that, right? I'm going to say, oh, got it. Okay. Tell me more about that. What do you mean, right? There's a curious, caring aspect to my voice. Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so the last 3 months they're down. Tell me more about that. What do you mean exactly, right? That type of situation. Okay, so you guys get probing questions. The reason I spent a little bit of time on that here is because truthfully, these should be coming up in every single sales call throughout the entire call. And the number one biggest one that your sales team, they just have to remember, tell me more about that. Tell me more about that. Don't take what the prospect's first answer is to your question. Don't take it at face value. I can almost guarantee you every time it's not going to be good enough. Okay, so the first question, the first type, situational questions. We can kind of go pretty quick on this one. This is just fact-based questions, okay? So fact-based questions reveal the current setup. This is just information you actually need, right? This is literally just logistics, stuff like this. Like, so for Commently, like there's stuff that we literally need to know, or we'll just end the call and be like, all right, this is not a good fit. So, how much are you spending on ads, right? How much money are you spending on ads right now? That's one that we need to know. What platforms are you running ads on? Why do we need to know this? Because as a software company, if they're running ads on a platform that we don't track, then it's like, okay, we literally can't help you. Like you can't use our software. It's not going to work. How are you currently tracking your ads? So these are literally just you're crossing T's and dotting I's on exactly what you need to know information-wise. This should be quick. And guys, to be honest with you, this should almost be done prior to the call. Okay. And what I mean by that is before your salesperson gets on the call, they should be spending 5 to 10 minutes researching, or even more, researching the prospect, find them on LinkedIn, find their website, get this information up front so you don't have to spend a lot of time on these situational questions. These are literally the X's and the O's on, okay, cool, got it, cross the T, dot the I, perfect, great, okay? So you guys can read over these examples here, but a couple tips, ask these early. These are the first things you should do after the introduction. This is the first thing you should do when you get into discovery. Knock these out, get them out of the way, okay? It also just helps to warm up the prospect in terms of just like getting these sort of facts out of the way. Yeah, we run ads on this platform, we spend this much, whatever. For a health person, health coach or whatever, it's like, yeah, I work out a couple times a week and, I mostly lift and, do some treadmill, right? Whatever it might be. And don't react to these, okay? Second tip here, don't react. You're just collecting information. You're not like, oh my God, wow. In the health space, you only work out twice a week. We're not doing that here. And commonly, my team never reacts to their ad spend. Well, we're spending, $100,000 a month right now. Wow, no way. That's a ton of money. Like, no, we just, okay, cool. Got it. 100, perfect. It's information gathering. Okay. You want to move on from this as soon as possible. Okay. And again, you should know exactly like 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the four, situational questions I'm going to ask. And then we're moving on. We're moving on to the symptom questions. Okay. Symptom questions. These are questions that explore the subjective experiences or problems the prospect, big word, notices, but they can't always quantify. Okay. So this is where you really want to surface. These questions are meant to drive irritation, frustration, feelings, and performance issues they're already aware of, but you're kind of twisting the knife here. And these are where I talked about earlier, the tonality. Tonality is so important here. Otherwise, you're going to come off as an asshole, okay? So, for example, commonly, right? And the psychology behind this, we're bringing the current pain into the spotlight. So you're attaching emotion and urgency to the sale, okay? So commonly style, how much revenue are you bringing in each month from your ads? Okay, very simple question. We do ask, it's borderline situational, but the reason we do ask this is because a lot of times people, if they know the answer, it's not good. And if they don't know the answer, it's especially not good. Do your ads drive a significant portion of revenue? How would you say your ads are performing right now versus before, right? We are actually, and this is why the symptom, situational, and then it goes symptom, because the situational questions actually, they sort of are similar to the symptom questions. The prospect doesn't really notice when you move from situational into symptom-based questioning. And that's why the symptom questions work really well second. Because now these questions, the symptom ones, are designed to evoke an irritable response, not at you as the salesperson. You're like, hey man, I'm just asking questions. By you asking the question, the prospect internally will start to get emotional because they know the answers are not good, right? So again, in the health space, if you were a fitness coach, and I'm using that as an example because everybody understands fitness stuff, but as a health coach, you would ask someone like, how many times a week are you working out? And that again could be situational, but it's more symptom based because they go, well, maybe once a week, maybe a couple, they know it's not good. Okay. So here's a course example. So how do you feel your course launches have gone the past few months, right? You, the salesperson, know they haven't gone well. Otherwise, they're not going to be on this sales call interested about your sales coaching, your course coaching, right? Their launches haven't gone well, but you have to ask the question to get them an emotional response, right? Virtual assistant agency. Do you find yourself constantly putting out fires instead of scaling, right? Now again, go back to tone. If you just ask that, do you find yourself constantly putting out fires instead of scaling your business? That's gonna piss somebody off. But if you're asking it in a way where you're like, got it, John, okay. And so when it comes to your virtual assistant agency, when it comes to the sort of day-to-day, operations, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, are you kind of running around putting out fires instead of focusing on marketing and scaling? Or, are you, what's going on there, right? See how I did that? You're asking with such a curiosity-based tone that the prospect can only infer that as caring. This person truly cares, and you should care. You're a salesperson determining if you should sell this person a product that you believe is the solution. And guys, that's another point. Like, this is highly manipulative, and that's what sales are. Sales are extremely manipulative, and when used ethically, it is good manipulation, right? That is what you are doing. You are convincing someone to buy your product because you believe your product and it should solve their problem. And at the end of the day, on the scale of like this person is sad and they're trying to be happy, your product is the vehicle that's going to take them there, right? The vehicle from them being not happy to happy is your product. If your product doesn't do that, then this entire thing is unethical and you should not be doing sales, right? But the goal is that it is. And so it is an ethical responsibility for you to sell this person into a product that will ultimately change their business, change their life, help them get to the next stage wherever they want to go, right? So quick detour there. So on these symptom-based questions, tip number 1, don't accept vague answers. If they say it's not working well, what are you going to do? Ask a probing question. Tell me more about that. What does not well look like in terms of numbers, right? Or relate the pain back to the business is another tip. What happens when your ROAS is low for multiple weeks in a row? Again, you have to ask these types of questions in a don't be an asshole way. I wouldn't say, what happens when your ROAS is low for multiple weeks in a row there, John? I would say, got it. Okay, so the ads are struggling. Now, what happens? Like, do you guys have other marketing things going on? Like, what happens if your ROAS is low for a couple weeks in a row? Does that put a lot of pressure on the other areas of the business? Stuff like that. Validate their frustration. I hear this all the time. You're not crazy. The data is often a mess, right? Stuff like that. Okay. Problem questions is number 3. What are problem questions? These are questions that push them to articulate and own the actual problem, especially decision-making issues. Okay? Confirm and amplify their current approach is not working. This is really, really important. Once someone admits that something's broken, they're emotionally ready to explore the solutions. They've kind of already gotten there. If you guys have the right marketing funnel in place, you have some type of video sales letter, webinar, good marketing that's pushing them into this sales call, this should already be pre-framed. And if not, you should watch some of my other videos on kind of how to structure that marketing funnel. But these problem-based questions, so for Cometly, how do you currently make decisions on your ads, right? How much time does that take you? How inaccurate do you feel your reporting is, right? We're trying to get them to fully admit to the fact that something is really broken. And we need them to say it. We can't say to them, well, I have to be honest, I'm looking at everything and I'm just going to tell you that like your tracking it's not working, it's broken, or this is wrong. You can't be the one to say it. Okay. The golden rule of sales is anything you say is not true. Anything they say is gold, right? So if they say like our tracking is perfect, our ads just are, in a weird state and we're just not scaling. Of course. Yeah, of course. That's exactly what's happening. Let's talk about that, right? Your tracking's totally fine. So here's some examples. Funnel consultant. So how are you currently diagnosing where your funnel is perfect? It's got a couple leaks. I hear you. So how are you currently diagnosing where your funnel leaks, right? Sales coach. What do you do when reps don't hit quota? What's the current process? Don't hit quota, right? Most of my reps are hitting quota. Everything's fine. Everything's great. But there's a couple that don't. Okay, well, what do you do when they don't hit quota, right? Let's talk about that. So the goal here is to admit that something's broken. Most of the time, someone will join your sales call and they will be fine with admitting stuff's broken. Occasionally, you get people that just say, and everyone watching this knows, well, actually, everything's fine. I was just kind of taking a look at what you had going on. I was taking a look at Cometly, our ads are great, our tracking's fine, just was interested. Or, fitness-wise, actually, I go to the gym 4 times a week and, all of my, I'm great, I run, I got a 6-pack, everything's fine. No, it's not, because you never would have gotten on the call. No one's interested in taking time out of their day, especially a, between 30 and 45, 60-minute sales call. Nobody's doing that. I'm not interested in looking at different options. No. Your funnel, your marketing evoked a serious, open loop response in their brain, and they had to book the call because something's irritating them and they're insecure and they don't want to admit it. Okay. That's why they're on the call with you. Now you get the alpha males that don't want to actually admit when something is broken. And in that situation, you kind of got to you got to step up. And it's tough for salespeople to say this because they really want the sale, and detaching from the sale is really hard for them. But they go, they what they have to do is handle it in the way they have to go, got it. Well, you know what, John, if everything's great, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't really know if we can help you because we really only help people that are struggling with A, B, or C. So if everything's great, then I'm not really sure we can help you. You kind of push it back onto them. The other way you can flip it around is basically say, well, you know, John, you have a 6-pack, you don't have an 8-pack. You know, what are the different things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis that are stopping you from getting there on your own, right? Something like that. So you do get the people where everything's fine. I'm just trying to get to, you know, the crazier next level where everything's fine. I'm just looking around. You kind of have to play the game with them of, if everything's fine, then I don't know if we can help you. Stuff like that. And the other thing here, big one, don't lead the witness. Ask open-ended questions instead of implying they should feel frustrated. Example, commonly ad stuff. Yeah, so John, you know, do you feel like every day you're waking up and like your tracking's bad and your ads are not working because the tracking's bad, right? Do you feel that way? Like you're leading the witness down, right? You know, yeah, so do you feel like, you know, you told me you're only going to the gym once a week. Do you feel going to the gym once a week is really holding you back from hitting your weight loss goals and doing this, right? Do you feel that way? Don't lead the witness. They can feel that, and immediately their crocodile brain will shut it down. They will say, this is bad. This person is just trying to sell me, and they won't like that. Use their answers to disqualify the status quo. So based on that, would you say what you're doing, the way you're doing things now is sustainable, right? That's a really good one to ask always. So based on that, would you say how things are going for you is pretty good and you can keep doing that? That's a good one. The next thing is sign questions. Now, these are expert questions that uncover problems the buyer doesn't realize exist yet. Sign questions are meant to make you look like the expert, okay? This is good in the software space or honestly any industry, but this is where you can ask a question, and again, coming back to the original thing, you can't sound like an asshole. This is where you get to sort of play the expert, okay? For example, psychologically, it makes them feel like you know things that they don't. And this is a way, if executed with the right tonality, this executes a sign of authority, okay? So for Cometly, there's something called the Conversion API, CAPI. You know, more beginner advertisers don't really know what CAPI is. So we would actually ask this question in a very like I'm better than you way. We'd say, John, let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with something called CAPI, Conversion API? And if asked with the right tone and being sincere, they would give a response that was usually like, no, I'm actually not familiar with that. I would love to hear about it, right? And instantly kind of gives us a level of authority because we're experts and we know a lot about this stuff. This is another one we would ask. Are you guys doing anything outside of Facebook's 7-day attribution window? Were you aware that Facebook can only track things up to 7 days? That was one that really worked well. So you have to go through these for your business and figure you can probably do this already. But here's some examples. SEO consultant. Are you using schema markup to optimize your SERP visibility? That's like a little bit too complex, I think. I wouldn't recommend that one. It's a little almost too technical. Are you running creative tests based on hook retention curves yet? Okay. Email marketing expert. Are you cleaning your list for engagement every 30 days? You know, fitness person. Have you heard about the XYZ or the ABC type of diet or whatever? Okay. The goal here, reveal the blind spots that they didn't know they had. No, I've never heard about that. I would love to hear about it. Okay. You're using expert positioning. Don't over explain. Ask, then pause. Land the question. Confusion equals curiosity. No, I've never heard about that. This will definitely make you look like an expert, which you actually should be. You are, and it helps them see you as in a position of authority. Okay, next one is impact questions. Impact questions. These attach a cost to the problem, a direct impact. financial, emotional, opportunity-based, missing out, right? This purpose is to quantify how painful the problem really is and bring urgency to the sale. This is a big one. I talk to sales teams all the time, and they say, well, every time we get on a call, people say, oh, it's not a good time. We can't do it now. They push it off. We're opening deals and they never close. And I look and I'm like, you guys are not asking any urgency impact-based questions, right? Some examples here. In Cometly, we would ask this one every call. So how long have you guys been dealing with this? And they'd say, I think like 6 to 12 months. 6 to 12 months. Wow. And, then they're like, yes, it's kind of been a while. How much do you think it's costing you in missed revenue, right? How did your ads perform before tracking was an issue? Okay, some other industry examples, business coach. What do you think it's costing you to stay stuck at this revenue level? Software tool. What's the time cost? We'd ask this one in Cometly too. What's the time cost of your team manually doing these spreadsheets, manually doing this every single week? Stuff like that. So you really are trying to attach a problem or opportunity cost or, something specific to it. And again, the big one here, how long have you been dealing with this? It's so important because guys, literally when I talk to sales teams and they can't get urgency, I see they're not asking this question. How long have you been dealing with this? And all the while, like if they just ask that and the prospect comes back with, well, we've been dealing with for 6 months, then the objection handle, again, coming back to objection handling happens in the discovery. If they ask that and the prospect says, well, 6 months, we've been dealing with this, you could basically handle the objection of, well, we're not really ready to do this right now with, well, John, you told me earlier, you've been stuck at this level for 6 months. Look, I'm on your team here, but I got to ask you, like, can your business afford to do this for 6 more months? I mean, really? That is the type of thing. That's how you handle those objections, right? Oh, how do we handle the objection? I'm not ready to get started. Well, you handle it by dealing correctly with it in discovery, by asking impact questions about time. Okay? Goal. Attach cost and urgency to the problem. Quantify the pain. If you're losing 10% in ad performance, what's that in actual dollars, John? Use contrast. How did things perform before tracking became an issue? Pain, gap between before and now. That's what we talked about kind of like over here. This sad person going to happy. This is pain. Okay. Make it personal. This you can do if you're talking to like founders, CEOs of companies of like, I would say SMB mid-market, is you can tap into the personal aspect, right? Every founder, every business owner, their business directly affects their life. And that's where on sales calls, you have to be delicate about it to do it the right way, but you can ask them how things affect their real life. Okay. And the last one, guys, solution questions. Okay. Solution questions. These are questions that explore what they've tried before, what they think will work, and what they're looking for in a fix. Purpose of this, understand their buy-in criteria. What does a win look like for them? Okay. This is where in discovery, you're actually building your pitch. Okay. This is the other thing that like really, really, really experienced good salespeople do tremendously well, and bad ones, it is so obvious. It almost is painful to watch and listen to. And I'll explain that in a second. Psychologically, you're uncovering how to tailor your pitch, align it with their values and their vision of success. Okay. So examples, Cometly style. What have you tried to fix this? What have you guys done before? What are you looking for in a tracking solution? Is this something you're trying to solve now or later? That's kind of like an impact-based one. Some other industry examples. Let's say we were doing sales training platform. What kind of training programs have your team gone through before? What have you guys done before? That's the question that everyone watching this video with any business, that's the question you say. Got it. This is what we sell. What other programs have you tried before? What other tracking softwares have you tried before? We have Commently has a lot of competitors. We always ask every single call, what other tracking softwares have you guys used before? Okay. Why? Because we know we're going to have to deal with this objection later down the road. I know that there are certain competitors out there that have horrible tracking and a bad experience. And our sales team, I taught them, guys, we have to ask them who they used before, because you're going to be dealing with that objection down the road. If they say competitor B, they use competitor B, we know that competitor B has really bad this, and this, and we're going to have to tailor that in our pitch later on. When we say Commently's really good at this stuff, we're really good at this stuff, and trust me, we never do any of this bad stuff that can, in our head, we know competitor B does. CRM, what features matter most to you when choosing a tool, right? Specifically for software founders that I'm talking to, but honestly, even course coaches, consultants, etc. The biggest mistake people make when it comes to the pitch is they pitch everything. They pitch the whole thing. And a lot of inexperienced salespeople do this. They're like, here's my product. I'm going to pitch everything. Here's my here are my 10 modules for the coaching program. I'm going to go through all 10 of these. Here's my software product with 100 features. I'm going to talk about all 100 features. The reality of the situation is this person is looking for one thing. And you find the one thing they're looking for, just the one module, the one feature, the one thing they need, and you fully pitch that. I'm getting into the pitch a little bit, and I'll do another video on the pitch, but you fully pitch the one thing they need. Okay, when we sold a coaching company, coaching product, there were like 7 modules. And I would ask them about everything. I would ask them about their sales process. I'd ask them about their ads. And as soon as they started talking just nonstop about ads, we can't do the ads. We're having trouble with the ads. My entire pitch would be around the ads. And I'd say, yeah, we got other stuff in the program too. We got coaching on your sales team and stuff, but none of that matters. We're going to help you dial your ads in. And we have the most amazing ad training that does this and does that and does this and does that. And we sell them every time because the reality is, like, all the other stuff distracts them and brings up just potential doubts in their mind. So you find you're literally here in this question, for this solution question, you're literally asking them, how do you want me to pitch you? Okay. And for Commently, this is where our close rate skyrocketed when I told my sales team we're going to start doing this. Before we popped open the demo, because software companies, you do a demo. And before we popped open the demo, we'd ask them, so what are the main things you're interested in when it comes to Commently? Like, what are the main things you want to see? What are the main things you want? And they tell us. And then I told my sales team, when you pop open a demo, go directly to that thing and don't show them any other part of the software. And my sales team was like, well, what do you mean? What if they say this? Don't we want to show them this cool feature, the best feature we have? I said, absolutely not. Because they don't care about that cool feature. You do. You love that cool feature. And but they don't. They only care about this feature. Okay. And it's the same thing for a coaching company that's selling a training program and the prospect only asks about one part of the program. Guys, that's the part they're interested in. That's all they want. And it might be 2 parts of the 5, but do not pitch all the other stuff. There's no reason to do it. So this is really where, guys, the goal here is to understand what they want, how they think about the problem should be solved. Okay. And then they basically write our pitch for us. Okay. In a way, like, I literally told my sales team this. I was like, they will literally just tell you, and this, as you're going through the sales call, you need to take notes. And so on sales calls, you're writing down, and you're literally writing pitch, right? You're writing PITCH, pitch. Here's my pitch. 1, they care about X. 2, they care about Y. 3, they care about Z. And that's my pitch. I'm going to go to 1, I'm going to go X, and then I'm going to go Y, and then I'm going to go Z. And that's going to close them because that's all they care about. Okay. Figure out their buy triggers. When you get to the pitch, if you've done a good discovery, you know what the buy triggers are. You know why they're going to buy, what they're looking for, what they don't want. and what's most important to them in a solution, they're going to tell you exactly what to emphasize in the close. And that is why the entire close process can fully be tied back to these 6 questions, okay? Now, again, guys, if you are currently running a sales process and you have a sales team, I would really make sure that your sales team is asking all of these types of questions. Listen in on their sales calls. If they're not, I really recommend start implementing these. And guys, now with like ChatGPT and stuff, you can take this exact training PDF that I have here. I'll give it to you. You can take the PDF, take it into ChatGPT, upload it, and say, hey, please, for my company, create situational questions, symptom questions, problem questions, impact questions, et cetera, et cetera. Create me 3 questions each, and the results you're going to get back are going to be fantastic. And then you have to make sure that your sales team is asking them the right way and doing the right process, okay? And if they do all of that, the objections go down, okay? You'll notice that there aren't that many objections. And if there are objections, your team, if they've done a good discovery, they will be able to, knock the objections out of the park. All right. So guys, I hope this helps, and hope you guys have a big takeaway or 6 big takeaways from this video. Comment down below if you guys have any questions about this. And if you guys like this video, go ahead, like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one.